Cammy is a fast and mix-up heavy character who primarily uses her quick buttons and insane walk speed to whiff punish opponents and force to interact with her up close in the corner. She has great damage, great frame data, and one of the most solid match spreads within the game. If you are a Street Fighter 6 beginner or even a long-time player trying to pick her up, this video will give you all the information you need to start doing well with her as soon as possible. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So let's go over Cammy's neutral. In neutral, I actually use a couple of buttons. I'm gonna just go over them one by one. So for light buttons, what I use standing light kick. Standing light kick is one of the best buttons to just check dashes in general in this game. So for example, if we have it right here, and also like just by playing neutral in general here, you can just whiff punish people very easily and do like whatever you want. One of the biggest tips I have for you if you want to use standing light kick is make sure to buffer it with a special input. Buffering it with a medium spiral arrow is the best. So for example, right here, I'll be like walking back and forth with my opponent. I'll press standing light kick, and during it I would press medium spiral arrow. So for example, let's have her dashing at me right here. As you can see, you know, if you buffer it during it, they'll just get hit and you're able to get into pressure right away with your opponent and do whatever you want essentially. The biggest thing about that for me is just that you got to make sure that you don't do it too slow, because if you manage to do it too slow, see what happens, it automatically comes out. So you gotta do it while you're pressing it essentially. So during the time that you're pressing it, you gotta do the special input and you're good to go essentially. So yeah, this is only really good to like check dashes and everything, but is like her best light tool. Let's go over the medium buttons, and I actually use a lot of them. So I use medium kick, medium punch, and standing medium kick. These are the ones that I use overall, and I'll explain why. Crouching medium kick is just overall a good tool. It is a low that reaches pretty far. It gives you advantage by itself, and also it catches people moving forward. So like if they were like to move like back and forth right here, if they were just in range, as you can see right here, not in range, I'll be able to hit them out of it. And again, I could buffer spiral arrow right here, get into pressure, do like whatever I want. So crouching medium kick's the goat. I also suggest this while dashing towards your opponent. So like let's say like far away like here, you would dash up and then do this, and then you get into pressure right away, do a bunch of damage, push him into the corner. Crouching medium kick, really good. I love using this button. This is actually my favorite button that I like to using in neutral. Next gonna be crouching medium punch, which is my second favorite. This one I usually use to whiff punish my opponent. So whenever they would press like big buttons like this, for example, I would be able to whiff punish them with crouching medium punch the best. It's like right here. It's just very easy to do it. Also gives you the most amount of damage from whiff punishing, because right here, as you can see, 1300. Do this right here, 1600. So you always get more damage. And also if you hit them on punish counter, you can do it again. So you can do medium punch, and then you can do spiral arrow, you can do drive rush, whatever you want. Now let's talk about standing medium kick. Now standing medium kick I actually like to use for two reasons. One of them is it's overall a really good poke button to catch your opponent, but I think the biggest one is that for one, it drains drive gauge really easily. As you can see, this is like half of it. So if somebody's close to burnout, using this like in the corner right here can be really good. And the other one that I think is very good is if they try to jump. So after a wake up, for example, if they would try to like jump right here, crouching medium kick will make sure that this gets checked over and over, so they can't just like magically get out even if they're in the air. These are the medium buttons I like to use. I like using medium kick, medium punch the most. Standing not so much, but still very good use. All right, let's go over to heavy buttons. So for heavy buttons, I only use one, which is standing heavy kick for the most part, just because it's similar to standing medium kick, but it just reaches further. So at distances right here where opponent would try to walk back and forth, you can hit them at distances that usually wouldn't be possible, so they get hit more easily. That's essentially it. Very rarely will I use a sweep. Sweep is good too to use every now and again, but it has a lot of risk. You're pretty much just better off using medium kick at like the distances that you can. You got to make sure to not overuse standing medium kick and standing heavy kick though, because they can both be drive impacted, so you got to be very careful. These buttons cannot be cancelled drive impact, as you can see, whereas these easily can. Those are the buttons that you want to use, but they are risky, so you cannot just overuse them. That's essentially my best advice. Okay, let's go over the special moves in neutral, and I only use two in neutral actually, which is number one, L spiral arrow. This button by itself is pretty good to just catch people from a far distance. You can see this is the most I can reach with like Cammy's distance, but if I'm here and I use L spiral arrow, I reach from very far, and I will also be +0. So I'll be either +0 or -1 is what I'm going to be most of the time. So I'm always going to be safe. Just make sure you don't use it at a very close distance, because if you use it right here, you're -12, you can get punished. But like from a distance like this, for example, you're -3, you're always safe. You're always going to be safe here too. I like using this every now and again, just catches people off guard. Also catches them for dashing from like a far distance. The other one I like using is dive kick, and you actually see me use this a lot whenever you like watch me on Twitch or anything. There's any amount of gameplay you see of me, I love using dive kick. It's really good. And the biggest reason why is because dive kick is a very good whiff punish tool. So for example, if we have Cammy right here, just spam crouching medium kick, I can dive kick over it, punish them, do whatever. Whereas in comparison to here, I could, for example, as you can see, just be too slow or not hit it. This is just accurate. This will just work. Like, this will just hit. and you can just punish your opponent, do whatever you want, and just move on from there. So dive kick's really good. If you do want to use it, just make sure that you try to hit the opponent's toes. On block and on hit, you will get more frame data. So for example, right here, if I were to go on Cammy's head, I'll be +8, right? And now let me have her hit like as close as possible as I can. Right here, I'm even +13, as you can see. So if you hit it accurately on her like very bottom part of the body, you're gonna be very, very plus. The thing where this gets most important is actually on block, because let's say like the Cammy right here blocks and I block the head, I'm actually negative, so I can be punished here. So what you need to do is you need to be able to land it like as close as possible to the leg area right here that you can, in order to be either plus or safe on block. If you hit it very close, as you can see, you're already +1 right here. If you hit it optimal, you can be +2 up to +3. I really like using this move. The X version, in my opinion, is my favorite, just because you always end up in plus frames for the most part. Even if you're on their head, you're going to be safe with -2. So if you're like unsure about whether you're going to hit or not, and you just want to like try to hit it, use the X version. But yeah, that's basically it with neutral. Those are the main buttons I like to use. Now let's go over the next step, which is advantage state. Now this is where it gets actually interesting. So Cammy in advantage state actually has what I would like to call a strike throw loop mid-screen. Essentially what it means is right here, let's say I hit my opponent with this type of combo and it lands into an M or L spiral arrow, like any spiral arrow essentially that you want to land. You're always able to be plus and continue pressure on from that point on. So we're gonna take this for example. What you can do right here is you're gonna be +29. So I want you to remember this number because it's gonna be important. Now I'm gonna dash forward and you can see I'm +4. So what does this mean? It means I can always essentially meaty or throw my opponent, do like anything that I want here. So I can, for example, just do a standing heavy punch right here after hitting this, which is what I always want to go for, and then I can go for another strike throw loop right here. You can just do this over and over, because let me like try to land this right here, and then 1, 2, 3, do it again, dash up, get this, whatever, and as you can see, they're in the corner now. Essentially, on strike, you can just loop this over and over as much as you want, essentially, and just go for it again and again. Like, it really does not matter, and it will catch both wake-up options. So standing, it will catch, and it will catch them like dashing away, or rather like rolling away on recovery. This is really, really good. So this is for strike. For strike, you always try to hit like a button into spiral arrow, dash up, and then usually press standing heavy punch. That is the one you want to do. Then if they would block this one, you're always going to be safe. 1, 2, 3, boom. Dash up, you're going to be +1. So you're always going to be in advantage state. Then usually what you can go for are two options. Either one, you go for throw right here, or two, you go for a jab. So if you try to go for a jab right here, you can do jab into medium punch as a follow-up if they like try to jab or do anything themselves, and you'll be able to win off this consistently. So that's usually how you can continue the pressure over and over. So we can do this, whatever, boom. Let's say this actually worked out right here, or like with any button, right? Let's say you got the pressure right here, they walk back, boom, go again, and then eventually we'll get to the part where you can throw the opponent. So now let's talk about what you do if you actually throw the opponent after a setup like this. So you would dash up, same as earlier, you'd throw them, you would backdash again, and right here you would be -15, so you wouldn't actually be in advantage for once. So what can you actually do here? What you can do after a throw is to drive rush immediately and press a button. Usually what I would like to use is standing heavy punch, because it puts you in the exact same situation as before, which is a +1 situation. And if they do get hit, you can just get a very, very fat combo. So I'll just show you the example right here. If I do actually manage to hit like a counter, it doesn't even have to be like a punish counter, I get another +8, which means I can get another standing heavy punch. So right here, I'll do this, throw my opponent, they'll dash away, boom, 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 right? So 3,500 just for that. You can just push it to the corner for that for free. So that's essentially like the main way how I like to play it. You can also shimmy, obviously, but that's like irrelevant right now for the loop. So it's either you want to strike the opponent after you hit them with like anything here into a spiral arrow, you dash up with standing heavy punch, that's the main one you want to go for, or you throw them and then you do whatever. Now let's say, for example, they do anything like a regular get up or a parry, because it obviously is also a thing, right? So let's say they would recover in place right here after this and you would throw them. What can you do? You can do a mid stage or like whatever, like throw loop right here. So if your opponent doesn't want to back tech, but they actually like stand still, you can just throw loop them over and over. And you can just continue this pressure until they back tech, and then you would drive rush towards them. Now let's say they parry, right? Which is also another thing that can happen because they want to just cover the meaty. If you throw them again, you would have the same scenarios earlier where you can just throw loop them essentially. Like, so like you're given like one more chance to strike throw here for free. But essentially, strike will always push the opponent perfectly to where you want to be and do whatever you want, and then throw if they regular get up or they parry, you're gonna be able to go for the setup again, essentially. That's like basically like her main pressure that you want to go for mid-screen. This is the one I would suggest you to go for. This is the one I go for personally a lot. But obviously, there's other things you can do. So yeah, this loop overall is really good. This is the one I want you to remember. Now we're gonna go over what happens if you actually get a hit with like drive rush or anything, right? Because you want to push the opponent to the corner. Since you're a rush down character, you're Cammy, you're trying to push them far away. What can you actually do? So Cammy actually has amazing carry off of drive rush combos. So I will show you what her best combo is to use. And this only works while they're standing. So watch this closely. So if my enemy Cammy here is walking back and forth, right? And I've already talked about crouching medium kick into dash, right? So we're going to abuse this right now. If you do manage to do this, you can do this combo right here, which is crouching medium kick, instant drive rush back heavy kick, okay? Then you instantly try to go for a spiral arrow H and then an HDP. Look where they're at on the screen. She literally went from like being all the way here mid-screen to the corner immediately without like any effort. So this is really, really good, but it only works while they're actually standing. If they were to crouch, as you can see right here, let's have her actually do this right now. As you can see, this whiffs, and it's just because they're not standing. So there's an alternative that you can do, which I will show you right now. So there's an alternative combo if you want to whiff punish or hit her or whatever, which is this one right here. The combo essentially is using standing medium punch, crouching heavy punch, and then crouching medium punch in the H spiral arrow. That is the one you want to do. Has good corner carry overall. It's the safest one to use, even if it fails, for example. So even if they were to block, like this will be fine. They can't just mash anything against us easily, except if they want to DP. Also really good combo. So those are the two ones that you want to use. But now let me show you where this gets like really interesting, which is her level 1. Level 1 like goes really, really far. So I just want to show you, if we're here in the corner, how far we can actually push Cammy onto the other side with the combo I mentioned earlier. Essentially, we can get a corner to corner right here, as you can see. We can literally push it from one end to the side to wherever. So if you're ever in a situation where you're like right here and you're playing like in a non-favorable position, essentially, where you're trying to be the one in the corner, dude, she's in the corner at this point. And then you can do whatever you want because you're up close here. You can press like standing medium punch, like whatever, right? So really, really strong. Those are the things I would like you to remember. It's really, really important. Now that we know that she has a loop mid-screen and that we can actually push opponents in the corner, how can we abuse the corner as much as possible? How can we get as much as possible with Cammy out of the corner? In the corner right here, what you want to do is something that I would like to call a meaty setup. And the meaty setup is essentially just hitting your opponent after they are recovering with a move that's already active. So right here, this move would be +7. If I hit it as a meaty, I hit this right away. As you can see, move that was +7 now ends up being +9. Right, so that we get like more plus frames, essentially because the active frames right here are being like, they're not active actually, like nothing's being hit essentially. So right here doing these frames, you hit the opponent, it will be plus, so you can do more combos, whatever. This also works on block though, which is really good. What I will show you is what a meaty setup essentially is. So we hit this into M spiral arrow, right? So if you want to do M spiral arrow, you do a crouching light kick right here. And then right after this, you would press crouching heavy punch. And you're going to see that a move that's going to be +1 is going to end up being +4. So yeah, we have 4 frames of advantage. Now what this means, what we can do next is we can press a standing medium punch right after. Crouching medium punch, sorry. Because if our opponent mashes here, we can go for a counter combo that is very, very strong. Let's have her mash crouching light punch, which is the fastest thing we have in the game. Boom, boom, boom. See? You can basically just counter hit it if you hit it perfect. You can essentially counter hit them for it and then punish them pretty hard into it. So that's really good. So that's the thing you want to remember. That's usually what you want to use. But because of these plus frames that we have, essentially, what else can you do here? Well, you can go for a fake out. So you go for a crouching light kick. And then instead of using the crouching heavy punch right here, you can just go for a throw. And then you can start throw looping the opponent, which I'll get into in a little bit. I'll get into what throw loops are and what they do in a second. Let's go over scenario number 2, which is hitting a heavy. Right, so the same setup doesn't work on heavy punch. It doesn't essentially. So sorry, heavy spiral arrow. So what do you want to do instead? If you hit this right here, this doesn't land. It's just whiffs. So you gotta make sure is to do standing light kick into it. So you're gonna be +4. So if you hit anything with heavy spiral arrow, very easy to remember. Heavy spiral arrow, standing light kick, and if you hit the medium version, you hit crouching light kick. You're +4 on both. It's really, really good. I would suggest you start using that. So anyway, let's go into throw loops. Cammy's throw loops are pretty good in general, and what you want to do if you want to use them is to throw the opponent, walk forward 2 steps, and then throw them right there. So 1, 2, throw. 1, 2, throw. And you can do this over and over. And you can check this and test this out by having her mash crouching light kick after wake up reversal. So right here, crouching light punch. Just gonna do this. And if I'm too slow right here, you can see I'll get hit. If I'm just on time, no matter if she pressed the button or not, as you can see, she's still pressing it. You'll win the interaction here. That's why a throw loop is really strong. And with Cammy in particular, it's really good because you can set up meaty setups for it. Let me show you what else you can do here, right? Because throw loops are really good. If your opponent tries to counterplay it somehow, let's say, for example, they try to jump out, Cammy has a DP, right? So she can actually do something that's called a cross cut. Let me show you what exactly this does. So after wake up, we're gonna have her try to jump out. So we're gonna have this Cammy try to forward jump, and then you'll see what happens. Essentially right here, I'll try to go for a throw, or I'll do that after like a throw loop right here, whatever, doesn't really matter. I would half circle a DP essentially. So I would do like all of this, hold forward, and then I'll press light kick right after. Where no matter what happens, whether she jumps here or here, I could react to it, do the half circle, and it would hit. See? Half circle into it, press the button, you're good to go. If they were to neutral jump, you can do the same stuff, by the way, so it doesn't matter. The counterplay to this, just so you're aware of what they can actually do, what the opponent can do, is they can either tech throw this, they can tech for this, or they can backdash. If they backdash, they can hit you with Cammy's combo, so crouching light punch, the crouching medium punch, and then H spiral arrow and push you out. But essentially, they can't get anything more than like a 4-frame move. So if they parry, if they jab, if they jump, everything gets covered. They can only backdash or tech throw. That's essentially it. A level 3 super, I guess, and DP obviously can work too, but those are like really, really risky. Now, during these throw loops, you can actually set up a meaty button, which is your standing medium punch. This is the one you want to use a lot. Let me go over it right here. So if you do it properly here, you can be 2 frames of advantage, and you can always land a standing light kick afterwards. So keep this in mind. So you always want to be able to get B+ here. You can go for a throw again afterwards if you want to after this. Boom, boom. Or like a standing light kick to confirm it, and then medium spiral arrow her, go again with the pressure over and over. Essentially, like the corner is really strong with her. That's what you want to. That's what you want to use mostly. Let's say you actually land this combo, right? You can catch her right here with a massive, massive combo if you try to press. Let me show you. So if Cammy has around, let's say 4,000 health, right? The opponent's Cammy has around like 4,000 health. Let's do a little bit less sick. Yeah, something like that, right? This is basically kill percent for Cammy. So usually you would be like around here because you're gonna be hitting this throw, and then you would hit this. You would hit this as a meaty on the opponent. You can actually just full send and kill, and I'll show you what combo you have to do for this. So this right here is a full burn combo, literally using all your bar that you can, but you can just kill off of this. Boop. Right? And obviously, like, training mode, so it keeps you, like, in 1 HP. But this is 4,600. So as you can see, like, this is really, really good damage that you can use at some point. And this is not too hard to achieve with Cammy. Like, you'll get this damage eventually after, like, a couple moves. So you're going to be there. You're going to be able to set up a scenario and then kill her. So very, very strong. So again, the corner, usually that's what you're trying to use. You're trying to use your meaty setups. You're trying to use throw loops right there. Or just try to pressure her in general. Those are like the main things I like to use in the corner, how I operate, how I play the game. Obviously, there's also other things like jab pressure, but this is like basic pressure like every character has. This isn't really anything specific to Cammy. It's just something to keep in mind and be aware of. So a bunch of people have actually asked me how to use this move right here, so I would just like to explain this in advantage as well. This move here actually has its uses. It is pretty good overall, and I'll show you why and how this is good. Let's say we would do regular pressure with Cammy, and we would do something like this. If Cammy were to crouching medium punch this, or crouching medium kick this actually, as you can see, she can hit me right here, right? And there's nothing I can do. I can try to walk back, I'll get hit. You know, I can jump and dive kick. That's like one option. The other one, which is really good, is to use this move, because again, this doesn't reach, right? Boom. This will hit because it goes just outside of it. And then what you can do here is actually, you can get like a level 3 combo right here afterwards. Full combo essentially you can use. So that's really good. Usually I would use this just if people want to like use a button that's like pretty much in range. So you're trying to bait them with this or like hit them with this as like an extra button. So yeah, overall I think this is good. Even if you use this right here, you'll be safe. Just make sure to use this if you have some bar, so that you'll be fine. The other thing that works right here that's really good is to use dive kicks. If you manage to do this pressure string right here, which is a crouching light kick into light punch, you can instantly jump upwards and hit a dive kick and you always be +3. So those are like 2 things you can do to basically cheat your way into like another turn. If you think they're gonna press a button here, you can do this to whiff punish him. And even if not, she's gonna be plus, right? And the other one, if you want to be a riskier approach and to kill, is to use forward heavy kick. Those are like 2 basic like structures that you want to use in pressure that I like to use the most. Let's go over her disadvantage, and this actually is like a pretty small segment, but yeah, no, she does have a lot of options here that you can use. So my main escape tool that I like to use is actually crouching light punch. I think crouching light punch is really good. The biggest reason why is because you can do crouching light punch, crouching light punch, crouching light kick. Oh, sorry, standing light kick, and then lead into the Oki set we went over beforehand. So you can lead into this and then do whatever you want. This is pretty good. Just make sure to like do this slowly essentially when you do get a hit here, so you can actually like register it in your own head that like, oh, I got the hits. Okay, perfect. Right, so you can like do whatever you want. The other one I like to use is crouching medium kick. This is mostly in shimmy attempts. So if my opponent would like walk back and forth here to try to get me like to whiff a throw, what I would do is I would try to go for a crouching medium kick right here. Usually what I would suggest is to drive rush this one just to be safe in case they block this. So usually I would be looking out for. You can make sure you're fine. And you can also just press the button by itself and then try to jump out afterwards, like no matter what. So you can jump up with like a dive kick here again, like whatever. Probably like a medium dive kick is what you want here. Like hit the opponent. The other one to get out is her EXTP. And for her EXTP, you actually need to be very careful. This is a thing universal for Street Fighter 6, so pay attention if you play other characters. You need to hit this on the same button. You need to hit both kicks at the same button for it to be fully invincible. Let me actually hit the other button a bit later. Right here, I hit one kick, and then right after I hit both of them. As you can see, there's a single frame of startup here that can get you to get hit right there. So you gotta be very careful when using DP for that reason alone. And also the other reason is that is very risky to use. You can get very, very high damaging combos off of blocking a DP. So you gotta be careful of that. The good thing about Cammy's DP in particular though that I like the most is this. Look at where I'm at. It literally pushes me outside of the corner completely, pushes the other Cammy back, and now I'm the one who's able to play the game the entire time, and I'm good like that, so it's fine. Now this is unique to Cammy itself and a couple of other dive kick characters, which is essentially there is a third way to escape throw loops, which is to immediately jump and go for a dive kick, because by that point if they whiff it there will always be a punish counter. So you as Cammy, boom, 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 have the option here of jumping out with a dive kick. This actually is pretty good as an option in general. And even if, again as we discussed earlier, even if right here they would just block, you can EX dive kick to be safe, because EX dive kick here on head is only -2. So you always at least have a situation on defense where you're fine. So you can't just like get hit out of this one. So yeah, no, that's also another really good thing for Cammy to do in disadvantage. So overall disadvantage is also great. Everything about Cammy is pretty good. There aren't really necessarily any things that make her like really weak besides having like no fireball. But that's like kind of it. Okay, let's go over her anti-air game. Now for her anti-air is actually a bit hard than the rest of the cast, because this right here has dead zones. So all of her DPs actually have dead zones, her L, M, and H version. So if an opponent right here would be very close and jump towards me, and they would be able to jump over, as you can see, there's a dead zone right here on how you can get hit. But like the L version, for example, would hit here. So it's very distance dependent on which one you like to use. Around this range right here in the mouse, I like to use the L version. Around here, I like to use the M version. Around here, I like to use the H version. So if somebody's like neutral jumping, like right here, see, this will hit, whereas medium, for example, wouldn't hit. You just gotta be careful. In the corner, usually what I would suggest is to always use like medium for the most part. I think medium is the safest. If you're here and they jump out, they get hit. If you're here and they'll jump neutral, they get hit. L and H are a bit more difficult, because if they jump forward, again, as I showed you earlier, dead zone right here, they're not getting anything, no matter what you do. If you have people jumping in front of you a lot and you're not trying to risk anything here with the dead zones, you can use standing medium punch. Standing medium punch is very low risk overall, but also low reward, so keep that in mind. Right, that like anything can happen here, it's fine. My favorite anti-air actually with her is back heavy kick. This is the best one, I'll show you why. If you do manage to land the back heavy kick, you can just link into level 3 or like whatever you want. You can link a combo afterwards. It's really good. I actually am a massive fan of this one. It is also the one that is obviously like the riskiest out of all of them, because this isn't as active. You can't just get hit out. It's kind of like whatever, right? So usually what you can go for is something like this, like that, and then you can do like hooligan, whatever you want. So you have like good options here overall. You can also just push the opponent back into the corner here with a level 1. It's over. Yeah, no, that's overall like the main ways I like to use my anti-airs. Now let's go over everything I didn't speak about yet, which are pretty much her special moves and what you want to use them for. And their special moves are pretty much like matches specific stuff that you want to use. Let's go over number 1. Spin Knuckle. Spin Knuckle is literally the anti-zoning tool, and which makes matches like Shodos and like zoners like Guile and JP very easy overall. I personally would suggest using the H Spin Knuckle the most. H Spin Knuckle has the furthest reach for the most part. 5 frames of advantage, so even if you hit it regular, you can do the combo here. This is the one I mainly suggest using in neutral. Let's say somebody right here with like Fireball. Imagine just Cammy is a fucking Fireball right here real quick. You can Spin Knuckle through it. Not give a fuck. Get the combo, do whatever, right? So this is the one that you want to use. EX Spin Knuckle is a faster version of this, and you can punish the opponent, so like on reaction, for example. Another good thing about it is you can cross up the opponent right here in the corner. So if you ever want to mix up during a meaty setup, so something like this, boom, you can do it right here. Get whatever you want. But yeah, usually this is the one I like using. If you're like at a very close distance, use the M version. Now let's go over L. L doesn't have any invincibility, and usually is only used in pressure strings like this to get like a hit in or anything. So just be aware. If you want to use L, usually using like a combo string or whatever. Otherwise, M and H are the ones you want to go for. If you want to react, again, EX or cross at the opponent. Those are the main ones that I like to do overall. Hooligan. I've already made a separate video on Hooligan that you can check out. It's like I think 17-minute long video. It's probably like somewhere up here. You can watch that like in your spare time or like after this video to get more information on Hooligan. If I were to explain Hooligan right now, this video would take an hour. So I'm just not going to do that. I just want to make it as clear and concise as possible. Dive kick, already went through it. Great in the corner, great to use in neutral, great to use as like just anything to like block. Not going to talk too much on this one, you already know. The only thing I gotta make sure to tell you is don't just, this has counterplay. You can either anti-air this or you can like level 3 it, pretty much press like whatever against it. So make sure you use it as a whiff punishing tool, essentially. Don't overuse this in neutral, don't overuse this in pressure. Just make sure you use it sparingly. Use actual neutral for the most part, and then every now and again, send a little dive kick out. But yeah, this is basically it with my Cammy guide. In the upcoming weeks, I'll be releasing matchup guides on how to fight all characters within Street Fighter 6, mostly with Cammy, but like this is also general knowledge for like every character. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to like and subscribe, and you can watch all the other guides. Also have a combo guide for Cammy that you can check out. That's in the description and like up here in the info tab. Same as again a Hooligan guide. So basically like everything you'll ever need for Cammy, it's going to be on my channel for the most part. And if you made it this far into the video and you're looking for even more personal guidance, I would heavily suggest booking a coaching session with me at Metafy. Link for that's also in the description down below. If you want to book anything, you're more than welcome to get a free consultation and talk with me, and we'll discuss what the best course of action is for you. But yeah, regardless, it was a pleasure teaching you guys all of this stuff and all the knowledge I have on Cammy. I hope you're going to start winning a lot with her. If you have any more questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll make either shorts on them, or if it's an actual good question, I'll make a whole video. But yeah, you have a good one. Bye.